Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, doing something a little bit interesting today. Everyone's been asking me, with each Hero Fest that comes out in the season, they always ask me, hey, will you grade or review the new hero execution? And I try to, but I think it'd be a lot easier if I just wait for the end of the season when all 4 new Hero Fest exclusive executions come out, and thus I can review them all at once. So that's what I'm going to do here. This video is purely dedicated to reviewing the 4 new unique executions. We've got one for Black Prior, one for Jormungunder, one for aramus, and one for Jiang Jun. We're going to go through each one, and we're going to grade all of them. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Vordigers. So Vordigers is called Vordigers Regards.
You did not have to do that. You knew you did not have to do that. How could you have done that? Can you live with yourself? What you've gone and done. Look what you've gone and done here. For God's sake, you're a bunch of fucking degenerates.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this. If you heard my talk on it in a previous stream, you know how I feel, but I'll break it down for you. So let's go over what's done here. Black Prior starts by jamming the sword into the opponent's toes to hold them in place. Very gladiator of them, I must admit. And then they throw their kite shield into the neck. Okay, so one of the big questions that people always ask about the kite shield is, are the edges of it bladed? And technically they're not supposed to be. If you look at it from the side, it's clearly not bladed. So the idea that it goes to the neck is laughable, but let's assume that it even could. The sheer size and weight of it should, instead of going through the neck and leaving him standing there, should have knocked the dude over. I mean, it's a heavy shield, it's weighted, it should knock over Warden rather than go through and leave him standing there. So this is physically impossible. And then just ripping it off, even if it did go through and decapitate the head. Okay, let's say we buy that. Why did the head stay put? Why didn't the head roll off? I mean, this one doesn't make any sense, and I would forgive it if it were funny. I don't really think it's that funny. Yeah, so this one gets a low score from me. I'm naming this a 3 out of 10. This is really bad. The setup starts off okay by jabbing the foot. Maybe you could have used the shield to bash his head in or to pummel him a little bit, but this is no, this is bad. This is a 3 out of 10. I do not like this one. This is probably the worst of the 4 that we've gotten, which is sad because Black Prior is one of my favorites. I was really hoping that they would get a good one, but nope, this one is pretty stinking bad. Sorry about that, BP, but no points for me on this one. Next up, we have Jormungunder with the High Striker. This one's funny to me. Okay, this one is also unrealistic, very fantasy, but it gets at least another point for being at least funny. Okay, so this is obviously very fantasy-esque in how it's done. Jormungunder punches the opponent, then kind of praises themselves before slamming the hammer down at their feet. It doesn't really hit them. It just goes down at their feet, but from the strike on the ground, an electric surge runs up the body and blows off the head. It's a reference to that old carnival game, you know, Test Your Strength, where you try to hit this, use a mallet to hit this lever, and it sends a little charm flying up the top to hit a bell. That's essentially what's happening here. Now, definitely is deadly because the head is exploding, so it's a death blow. But obviously, this is all fantasy. It's assuming that you know, Jormungunder can actually do this kind of lightning attack. It's just all silly. But I'll give it a few more points because even though it's incredibly silly, at least it's funny. This was meant to be a funny execution. So I'll give it a 4 out of 10. It's still unrealistic. It still doesn't get any. It still doesn't have any realism based in it. But it's funny and it is deadly. So I will give it 4 out of 10. Unlike with Black Prior's Vordigers Regards, which was not realistic and not funny. This one is at least funny. So good on you, Jormungunder. You at least got a chuckle out of me. Next up is Aramusha with Shizuo's Sentence. Alright, so Aramusha's move is kind of cool here. He starts off by doing rotating kicks, which cause the enemy to spin around in place. Then he stabs twice into the body, one into the midsection and then another into the heart. Then yanks out, they spin again and fall to the ground, and then he cleans his blades. Alright, so this is a little bit more realistic. I think the problem here is that the kick should not cause the body to spin. Everyone likes to say, oh, you know, it's so easy to kill them in this state because of how worn out they are from the battle, and so they couldn't resist. Okay, let's buy that. If that's the case, then those first two kicks should knock the warden over here. They should knock Larry over. If he's really that worn out, he shouldn't be able to stand on his own 2 feet after those kicks. The kick should knock him to the ground. So he's clearly got enough strength to stay standing, but he's just dizzy or he's out of sorts. Then the stabs. The stabs are actually deadly, so I'll give it that. The placement is good. I think the spinning is a bit silly. Still cool, though, definitely. So I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. The spinning is just a little unnecessary, and I don't believe that Warden would stay standing after a series of kicks like that. Like, if you're kicked like that and you're really out of it, you're really, like, dazed and worn out and confused from the fight, like you're teetering on death's door, those kicks should knock you down. They shouldn't keep you standing up, especially since he's just twirling. He's not even acting like, oh, gosh, let me keep trying. Like, no, it's like he's just a ragdoll deliberately being spun. So I think that's a little silly, but the placement of the swords is good. The way that the kill was executed was good. Other than the spinning, I think it was good. Good job, Aramusha. 7 out of 10. And last but certainly not least, Jiang Jun with Close Call. I love this. I love this execution. This is probably the best one out of the 4. Okay, so where do we even start with this one? We got to break this one down. So Jiang Jun starts off by striking the top of the head and shoulder with the bottom of his guandao, then does an upward high kick into the chin, knocking them over, which is a good way to put them on the shows martial skill and discipline. Then swings it down in a downward arc to strike their groin. Warden quickly spreads his legs to avoid it, and the blade just misses the crotch. The two stare at it a moment, then they point, laugh, I almost killed you, ha ha ha, stab. And then yanks it back out again. And I love how he stabbed. Notice how Jiang Jun stabbed into him. So first they start laughing. It's all funny. It's all joking. Then he goes down on one knee to finish the stab. By going down on one knee, he extended his range so that he could plunge the blade into Warden's chest. And I love the setup. It's funny. It's a good joke. It's all silly. Now you're dead. And I love the way that was done. And what I also like is Jiang Jun, after stabbing him, goes into a posture. He goes into a defensive stance. So he's not just relaxed. He's getting ready for the fight again. So he pulls out, and he's back in his stance. So very good. This one is solid. I mean, even though it's really funny, the laughter is unnecessary because, as I've said before, we have to assume that these warriors are in the midst of battle. And taking the time to laugh, ha ha, it's funny, ha ha, it's joking, oh, you almost got me, oh, that was fun. Waste of time. You shouldn't be wasting time. As soon as you saw that you missed him, Jiang Jun, you should have acted. But because it's funny, I don't mind it. It's just, when I look at this from a realistic battle perspective, I have to be consistent. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Just amazingly well done, very funny, very cool to watch, and I just love how goofy it is. It's just, oh, it's funny, because I almost cut you in half lengthwise. It's really great, and I love Warden's reaction to spread those legs and get out of the way. It's so good. Oh man, I love it. This is a great execution. And yes, guys, that about wraps it up. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. As you know, now that with each season they release 4 Hero Fests where we celebrate one of the heroes that's been released. They go on sale. You can get them much cheaper. They're available to play during the Hero Fest to all people, and you get a unique execution for playing them. Like it's really cool. I really like the way they've done this. I think it's a creative idea, and it's a good way to advertise other characters for people to try playing. And I like these new executions. I look forward to next season to see what kind of executions we get then and what kind of fests we'll have. But like I said, the Blackbriar one really disappointed me. The Jormungunder one wasn't much better, but at least it got a chuckle. Aramus was actually pretty decent with a little bit of silliness wrapped in, but Zhangjun's was A tier. That was an excellent execution. It's kind of funny seeing the progression going up from Blackbriar up to Jiang, how it started off really bad, but then progressively got better. Let's hope that the next ones are just as good as Jiang. I really hope so. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Take care.